One day, Uchenna met a very beautiful lady called Chioma, whom he deeply admired and adored. He decided to take her home to Ngede City to see his father. Uchenna approached Chioma and told her that he loved her and that he would like to make her his wife. Chioma looked at his expensive outfit and luxurious car. She was impressed by his wealth, and so she accepted to marry him. Uchenna took Chioma to his house, but when they entered his bedroom, he was shocked to see Ajala inside his room already. Chioma couldn't see Ajala except Uchenna. Uchenna quickly left the bedroom and went to the living room, where he met Ajala already waiting for him. "What's the matter? Why are you here? I haven't broken any rules so far." "You are about to break one of them. The third and the most important rule states that you must not sleep with any other woman except the snake." "If I can't sleep with any other woman, how would I have children?" "You told me you are determined to pay any price. This is one of the many prices you have to pay. The moment you cheat on the snake, you'd run mad and eventually die." Uchenna couldn't believe his ears. He felt tricked, and he knew there was no way out of the covenant he had with Ajala. If Ajala had told him about the third rule in his dream, he would have seriously considered his options. But now, he was trapped and helpless. "You can get married to another woman, but you must not have intimacy with her. The moment you do, you'd run mad and eventually die." Immediately Ajala told Uchenna the third rule, she disappeared. For 10 whole seconds, Uchenna stood confused. He went back to the bedroom to meet Chioma, and he saw her on the bed, half naked, waiting for Uchenna to prove that he is truly a man. As soon as she saw Uchenna, she approached him seductively, trying to entice him. Meanwhile, Emeka, his younger brother, was in Ovazie village, making good progress in his business. The people of Ovazie village loved and patronized him because of his generosity and kindness. He was always fair in his business and he didn't cheat. This made most villagers prefer to buy from him than other vegetable vendors. And in the space of 5 months, Emeka was fortunate to have saved up more money than the total sum of money his father had given to him. Even though Emeka was progressing greatly in his new venture, he wasn't happy because he was yet to achieve his main aim of coming to Ovazie village, which was to find a responsible woman who would genuinely love him even as a crippled man. One day, Emeka was at the market selling his vegetables when an old woman approached his stall. She told Emeka that she wanted to buy some vegetables, but she didn't have any money at the moment. But she promised to send someone to pay him the money the next day. Emeka took pity on the old woman and sold the vegetables to her. However, Emeka had no intentions of collecting payments from the old woman. The next day, Emeka was at his stall in the market when a very beautiful young lady came to his stall. She introduced herself as Roselyn and said, "My grandmother sent me to pay you for the vegetables that she bought on credit yesterday. She also told me to thank you deeply for your trust and equally buy more vegetables." Emeka sat in his wheelchair dumbfounded. It was the first time he was seeing Roselyn, and she was the most beautiful lady he had seen since he arrived at Overzie village. Roselyn stretched her arm to pay Emeka, and he almost stood up to collect the money before he suddenly recalled that he was pretending to be crippled. Roselyn went closer and saw that Emeka was seated in a wheelchair, so she went to where he sat and gave him the money. While she was selecting more vegetables to buy, some customers approached Emeka's store to buy vegetables. The vegetables left weren't much, so Roselyn helped Emeka to sell the rest of his vegetables. While she sold the remaining vegetables, Emeka watched as she communicated easily and joked with his customers. This made him admire Roselyn the more. When she finished selling the vegetables, she offered to push Emeka back to his house. Emeka quickly obliged as Roselyn wheeled him down the path to his house. Most of the villagers who saw them together would smile and make funny remarks. "You two would make beautiful couples," some of them said, while some would say they looked good together. Emeka felt Roselyn would be provoked by what they said, but he was surprised that Roselyn simply smiled at their remarks. "So, you're the newest addition to Overzie community," the famous vegetable seller who suddenly gained recognition because of his special personality. "But no one mentioned that you were crippled. How did it happen?" Emeka laughed heartily at her statement. He knew he had to answer her question, but he didn't want to lie to her. So he wisely changed the topic. "I had no idea I was this popular. Speaking of which, this is the first time I would be seeing you at the market. Aren't you from this village?" "Well, I am. I lived with my parents, and I also studied in the city. But after their death, I had to return to stay with my grandmother because I lacked the money to continue my education." Emeka felt deeply sorry for her. He gave her his condolences and they remained quiet for most of the journey. When they got to Emeka's house, Roselyn observed that his house was neatly arranged and some items were placed high above the ground. So she asked him, "How do you manage to get things up here since you're crippled?" Emeka quickly pointed to a stick outside the house. "I used that stick to bring them down and equally place them back." Emeka felt scared that Roselyn might find out his secret, but he managed to answer all her questions wisely. When Roselyn was done with her tour of his house, she offered to help Emeka wash his clothes and do some chores before she went back to her grandmother. With each chore Roselyn did, Emeka fell in love with her the more. After she was done, she promised to return the next day if she was free, to help him prepare a delicious meal. Because she once had a crippled friend, so she knew how difficult it could be moving around. That night, Emeka couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Roselyn. He was amazed at how generous, responsible, and how easily she warmed up to him, despite the fact that he was crippled. He was already deeply in love with her, but he was scared to tell her because she might reject him. The next day, Roselyn came to the market with her grandmother. After buying all that they came for, Roselyn stayed back and helped Emeka sell his vegetables. Then she wheeled him home again and helped him at home as well. When she was leaving, Emeka offered her some money. She initially refused at first, but as time went on, she started accepting the money as her payment. One evening, after Roselyn had finished helping Emeka at home, she was about to leave when Emeka called her back. He gave her some money and told her, "Here is your salary for today." Salary? Well, I guess we could call it that. "I'm saving every cent you give me. When it is enough, I will go back to school." She hugged Emeka for the first time and headed home. Emeka was so touched by her words. He checked his calendar and realized it had been 10 months already. So he had just 2 months to take a woman to his father. However, Emeka was already established in Overzie village and he was happy where he was. Meanwhile, in Aku City, Uchenna watched as Chioma seductively approached him. But the warnings of Ajala kept ringing in his head. He quickly stopped Chioma and asked her to wear her clothes. "Why? Am I not beautiful? Don't you want me?" Chioma asked him, looking confused. "Of course I want you, but I want us to abstain until our wedding night. You are special to me and I want our first night to be special as well." Chioma believed Uchenna and she felt he truly loved her. However, Chioma didn't love Uchenna. She only agreed to marry him because of the wealth that he had amassed. On the 10th month, Uchenna took Chioma back to Ngede City to see his father, Maazi Chike. When he arrived at his father's house with Chioma, he came in a very luxurious car to signify his success. Uchenna told his father that he had started a business with the little money he was given, and that with Chioma by his side, he was able to establish himself in Aku City. Maazi Chike was surprised. He found it very difficult to believe that Uchenna could have made so much money on his own because of his arrogance and pride. But he had no choice but to transfer the ownership of his empire to Uchenna. He, however, insisted that they had to wait for his younger brother Emeka to return first before they could hold a feast to celebrate his inauguration. But his access to his father's wealth was restored and he was recognized as the next owner of his father's empire. Back at Overzie village, Emeka thought deep and hard on how to tell Roselyn that he loved her and would like to marry her and take her to see his father. After much contemplation, Emeka visited Roselyn's house one fateful evening. When they were all seated down, he told her grandmother that he had fallen deeply in love with Roselyn and would love to make her his wife. Roselyn's grandmother smiled at Emeka's proposal and told him, "You are a good man, Emeka. Ever since you came to this village, not a single person has said anything bad about you. But it is up to Roselyn to decide if she would marry you or not." Roselyn sat in their midst and listened as though she wasn't there. She fixed her eyes on Emeka and his wheelchair. After looking at him for a while, she said, "I've heard what he said. The truth is you are a very nice and compassionate man, and I love your personality. But I am sorry, I can't marry you." Then she stood up to leave. When Roselyn stood up to leave, Emeka quickly willed himself to stop her. "Why can't you marry me?" Emeka asked. "I told you I intend to further my education. If I get married to you, that wouldn't be possible anymore." "Of course not. I promise to support you. I give you my word that I would allow you and support you to study to any level of your choice. I won't hinder you." Roselyn looked at Emeka deeply. She could see the sincerity in his eyes. She said to him, "If you can promise me this, then I would happily marry you." "Are you sure? Don't forget I am crippled." "It doesn't matter. You've been doing fine despite the fact that you're crippled. Besides, your personality is all that matters to me." Emeka was so excited by Roselyn's words. He told her grandmother that he would take Roselyn to the city to get his father's approval before they get married. Her grandmother accepted to his request because she trusted him. The very next day, Emeka and Roselyn began their journey to Ngede City to see his father. After some days, they arrived at Mazi Chike's mansion. Everyone was shocked to see Emeka in a wheelchair, especially his elder brother Uchenna. They presumed that he had an accident because of how easily he wheeled himself around. But when Mazi Chike arrived, Emeka stood up from the wheelchair and went to hug him. Roselyn was shocked when Emeka stood up. She couldn't believe her eyes. She felt hurt that Emeka lied to her all these months, but she kept quiet and watched on. Emeka told his father about how Roselyn cared about him despite the fact that he pretended to be crippled. He told his father about her ambitions and dreams and that he would like to marry her. Mazi Chike bowed his head in disappointment. "I am sorry, Emeka, but it's too late already. Your elder brother returned with his bride some weeks ago, so he's now the new owner of the company." Emeka smiled at his father's countenance. He went close to his father and told him, "I am glad he won. He is my elder brother and he deserves it. But I love Roselyn and I want to marry her. I'm happy with whatever branch of the company you give me to manage." Mazi Chike was touched by what Emeka said. He wished with all his heart that Emeka came with Roselyn first, but it was too late. After he had welcomed them home, Emeka went to meet Roselyn. He went on his knees and pleaded for her forgiveness. "I am from a wealthy home, and a lot of women would have quickly said yes. That was why I pretended to be crippled in order to find someone like you who has a good heart," Emeka told Roselyn. Roselyn understood Emeka, and so she forgave him without thinking twice. "I was worried that I would leave you in Ovazie village all by yourself when I returned to school. I was bothered about how you would cope all by yourself in my absence. But I am happy that you are complete, so you'll be fine." Emeka felt very blessed that Roselyn came into his life. A week later, Roselyn's grandmother joined them in Ngede City, and a big wedding feast was held for Uchenna and Emeka at the same time. It was so massive that it was the talk of the town for over 2 months. Emeka was given a new branch of his father's company to manage, while Uchenna took over their father's empire. After Uchenna took over his father's empire, he had access to unmeasurable wealth. He started to see the snake which Ajala gave him as a burden. He no longer needed the money which it brought to him, but he was still under an obligation to sleep with it twice every week. It didn't take long before his wife started complaining that he hadn't touched her since they got married many months ago. Uchenna ran out of excuses to give her. He would frequently tell her that he's tired, and then a lot of people started pointing fingers at Chioma for her barrenness. They even started spreading rumors that Chioma was barren or that her womb was damaged. This made Chioma very sad and hurt. But she remained with Uchenna because of the luxury and wealth and started stacking money secretly into her savings accounts. One day, Chioma woke up very late in the night to make use of the restroom. She was surprised when she couldn't find her husband by her side. After relieving herself, she went round the mansion in search of Uchenna, but she couldn't find him. When she was passing through one of the many rooms in the mansion, she heard some noises emanating from one of the rooms. She slowly approached the room out of fear and peeped through the keyhole. What she saw shocked and angered her deeply. She saw Uchenna sleeping with a very beautiful woman inside the room. Out of anger, she forced the door open and confronted Uchenna. But immediately she entered the room. The woman Uchenna was sleeping with slowly transformed back into a snake. It made a very loud sound, like a cry, and disappeared into thin air. Chioma couldn't believe what she saw. She was frozen at the spot. However, Uchenna realized that he has broken one of the rules Ajala gave him. He sat on the bed, feeling defeated and confused. While he thought of what to do, he gradually started losing his senses and started displaying signs of madness, like eating the foam on the bed. Chioma observed him for a while and realized that he had gone mad. She recalled the tales of Ajala back at Ako City and concluded that Uchenna must have gotten his wealth through her. Chioma opened his cupboard. It was filled with the money which he has been getting from the snake. But he had no need for the money, so he dumped them there. She stashed all the money in many boxes and ran away, leaving Uchenna to his fate. The next morning, there was commotion in the mansion when everyone saw Uchenna acting abnormal. He kept confessing about the deal he had with Ajala in Ako City and how he lied to his father, Maazi Chike. His father and his brother were called upon to witness Uchenna's fate. They both felt sorry for him, but there was nothing they could do. Uchenna was taken to a psychiatric hospital, but he died a few days later, just as Ajala had warned him. Emeka was the only surviving son of Maazi Chike, so he had to take over the company with his wife Roselyn. Emeka sent her to one of the best schools to conclude her education, and when she graduated, he placed her in charge of a branch which was related to her field of study. They had 4 beautiful children, 2 boys and 2 girls. Maazi Chike was very happy to become a grandfather, and he was even more proud of Emeka because he expanded his father's empire beyond what anyone would have imagined. Everyone loved Emeka as the new owner of the company, and all the staffs equally loved working with him. They all lived happily ever after. The moral lesson of this story teaches us that hard work pays and there is no shortcut in life. Any shortcuts would only end up cutting your life short. Be grateful for what you have and appreciate what you are given. Not everyone is privileged to have what you have. Don't just rely on your parents' inheritance. Learn to have a mind of your own so that you can build an empire yourself, or better expand the empire you are left with. Thank you so much for watching, and please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this story, give it a thumbs up, comment and share. Thank you and God bless you.